Before I go any farther, let me just say something about chickens. If you have had the belief that chickens don't have much of a personality, then you have a big surprise coming. They are a very entertaining and personable animal to have around your home. You have a big surprise coming.
Like I needed more chickens.
They're kind of addicting.
She'd never catch them.
Can't run after them. We cannot catch them.
You have a big surprise coming.
For introduction to dealing with a farm animal, chickens have got to be one of the best ways to go. As long as they've got fresh water and food and a clean place to hang out, they're actually very easy to take care of.
But the grandchildren really like to come out and check on the eggs and check and see how they're doing, if they need water. Maybe that takes about 10, 15 minutes at the most.
The kids will be able to handle them. It's a perfect match. We sell quite a few of the breeds at the store when we have our chick days in the spring.
Well, you put an order in. You have to put an order in, say you want 10 or 12 or 6 or how many you want. And you go pick them up. And we've taken the grandchildren with us before to pick them out.
I probably do 6 chickens to start with. A half dozen eggs a day is probably more than enough.
If you're strictly interested in egg production, you would get, white leghorns, barred rock, or you would get Rhode Island red.
The Rhode Island Reds are really attractive, and the buffs, the ones we have now, they're pretty gentle.
I think by far the friendliest bird I've had so far has been a golden comet.
I think I've got 6 different kinds here. I can't remember all the names. New Hampshire, something.
And then, of course, if you wanted to raise broiler chicks, then you would get the large meat breeds as well. So there are breeds that are bred specifically egg production, meat production, and for more ornate and unique looks. If I knew nothing about raising chickens, I would visit a few poultry farms. The first thing you need is a proper enclosure. Cold conditions and very hot conditions are difficult and stressors for chickens.
Yeah, you have to have a little heater because it gets cold out here.
Yeah.
We have a heat lamp in the winter and the light. This is something I've learned too, that they need light. They need about 12 to 14 hours of light a day.
Vermont chickens need lots of shelter and shade. You need excellent ventilation in order to avoid fumes and accumulation of dust that may be contaminants. You'll notice the bedding, which is wood shavings, and you notice that it's all fresh and dry. If there's any wet bedding, that bedding should be removed. Nothing grows fungus better than straw and shavings.
The water is an important thing to always have with water. And they go through a lot of water.
Now, if you want water that is not contaminated, you have to have a waterer that does not permit the chicken to sit on the edge and poop in the water. Now we're looking at the nest boxes and the roosting facilities. We wouldn't want them much larger because then that might encourage the hen to spend too much time in the nest box and not get out and forage.
Yeah, they tend to get very expressive when they're on the nest too, and they don't want to be bothered.
On nice days, they go outside and they get a big pen outside.
These chickens are in fact free-ranging out there in the field, just having a ball. And what are they eating out there? They're finding bugs, seeds, some of the grasses. In general, that type of a variety of diet, along with exercise, is ideal for these chickens. Remember that there are a number of other inhabitants of that land that love chickens for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It doesn't take long to have a fox or a coyote get your chickens.
Bobcat, and there's certainly coy dogs.
In one night, they can wipe you out. There's fencing which extends below the ground so that a weasel or other animal cannot dig underneath the fence and get up into the pen. I would rate this a very well thought out and ideal establishment. You should not attempt to make yourself an instant poultry nutritionist and try to make your own diet, because that is a recipe for disaster. There's no such a thing as skimping on nutrition. Stick with a well-known, reliable company. Conditioners and supplements are usually not necessary, with one major exception: calcium. Remember that birds have to make their eggs. The shell is made out of calcium. Either it comes from their diet or it comes from their own bones.
There was a time when the chickens were pecking their own eggs. They would lay, and then they'd go and they'd peck at it and break them up.
If you're eating your own chicken's eggs, you can crush those shells up and put them right back in the feed. If you do have a problem, get professional advice and find out exactly what the problem is. Then you'll know what to do to prevent it. You have a whole flock at risk. Don't just go to the feed store and pick up this medication or that medication. The best I could hope for is that the personnel advise people to check with their veterinarian first.
Well, I don't know if they're happy. They haven't really told me. But
I don't know if they know our routine. I think they're just happy to see something other than a chicken.
Yeah.
They've been in this coop for all night.
Only one has crossed the road and she didn't come back, so.
No, we don't let them in the house because they poop a lot. They're not, well, I won't say they're pets, but they have a job. Their job's to lay eggs.
each dozen I try to put a green egg from my Aracanas in there, and a lot of the people like it, see a green egg in there. So. Sometimes I get some eggs so big that they don't even fit in the jumbo boxes. I don't know how to get out of the chicken.
I had a number of people say, "Well, you can eat them later," but we couldn't eat it. We couldn't eat these chickens.
You ever raised meat birds?
No,
No?
not intentionally.
If you do the right thing, you'll have many, many hours of real enjoyment besides the eggs. Even a small backyard can be a successful environment for a small flock of chickens.